Thokozani Royals, Hotep, Thokozani, how is everyone doing? Thokozani family, please tap the screen, tap the screen, just so I know that you can hear me. Please tap the screen, family, just so I know you can hear me. Thokozani, Hotep Royals, tap the screen. Let's get up in the algorithm. Ow, no. Nikon, I see you. Thokozani, Gogotanki, Thogoza. Rose, how are you? Gregory, Thokozani, Mbali, Thokozani. Please, guys, tap the screen. Let's get up in the algorithm. We have a special guest. We have not had this special guest on here for a while. So very excited to have Mkhulu Nsingiza, who is the co-founder of the Great Empire of Kemet, CEO of the Zinzi Mandela Foundation, who is coming to talk to us. We're going to be looking at current affairs, and more specifically, we're going to be looking at the land question. As you know, we are going into the season of Geb starting tomorrow. The season of Geb, which is the land. And so this is a very timely conversation that we are going to have. Mkhulu, as you know, is a cultural expert when it comes to issues of land, when it comes to issues of royalty and royal kingdoms. And all that is interconnected. And so given the current energies and the current situation, I'd say in South Africa, but also globally, where the Black nation is manifesting for the restoration of their land, I thought this would be a great topic to have, to kind of speak into the current situation so that people get a better understanding of what is actually going on. We all know what's going on physically, but it's always important to link that to what may be going on in the spiritual realm. And who best to teach us that than Mkhulu Nsingiza himself. So I'm just going to hang on until I see that he is around. Once I see him, I'll bring it on. How long, do you know how long this live will be? Someone is asking. Probably an hour and a half, depending. So about an hour and a half. By the way, the live will be downloaded and will be uploaded on YouTube. So don't worry if you miss parts of it or you have to go away. It will be uploaded onto YouTube, and you can press the link in my bio. It'll take you to YouTube and you will find this conversation there. Sorry for disturbing you. You're magnificently beautiful, gorgeous. Gregory. Thank you, Gregory. But we are here for the message. Where Gregory? Let us keep focused. Thank you, Yahlega. No, it's okay, Gregory. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. So, I always appear on your feed. Well, that may be telling you something, you know. If I appear on your feed, maybe you need to hit the follow button or something. I think Mkhulu is here. Let me just bring him on. Yes, Mkhulu is here. Let's get Mkhulu connected and then we can get into our conversation. Thokoza Mkhulu.
Oh, Thokoza Ndlovukazi.
Thokoza Khehla ninjani?
Siyaphila njani Ndlovukazi?
Siyaphila. Mkhulu, we're not seeing your picture and I'm going to expand.
No, we're trying to set up.
Oh, okay. Right. So while Mkhulu is trying to set up family, um, what would I like to share with you about? Many of you already know this, but you do know that we have a sacred ceremony coming up. Isililo sikaNomkhubulwane, the lamentation of our set, which is 20th, it's the 21st, 22nd of March in Berkville. For those of you in South Africa who are interested, and many of you have expressed interest, please go on to the Great Empire of Kemet TikTok. Details are there on posters, on Facebook, on Twitter, here on TikTok, and on Instagram. Details of payment and details of where people who are traveling with public transport will be departing from. So get yourself plugged in and let's all meet in Berkville. Thokoza Kehla, I see you now. Let me expand you. Let's see. There we go. Thokoza Kehla, how are you?
Thokoza Ndlovukazi.
Niyaphila kodwa.
Hayi siyaphila.
Wonderful.
Sibonga nje impilo, we give thanks
Thokoza.
to the sun and the moon
Thokoza.
for this gift of life.
Thokoza Kehla, always in gratitude. Kehla, you know, there's a lot going on, right, as far as the issue of land is concerned. And I think the best thing that we can do, especially for our international family as well, is to Mkhulu's gone.
Oh, sorry.
He's back. So I was just saying, Mkhulu, with this whole land issue, the land question, right? It has raised a lot of international interest.
Yes.
What is going on in South Africa? Because it seems to have raised a rallying cry across the entire world, where the indigenous peoples, who we know are the Black family all over the world, are now crying not just for reparations, but they are crying for the restoration of land. So maybe you can take us through what is going on in South Africa and maybe give us a bit of the historical background as to how we end up where we are, just to give context to our conversation, Kit. Togos.
Yes, Ndlovukazi, I think if we can start by explaining the historical, facts. Black people are the first citizens that occupied the whole world. Science, attests to that. Dr. Rashid Ranuko did that scientific research and study, which confirms that. So therefore, we are indigenous all over the world. And what is happening not only in South Africa, but on the continent, it's a residue of a colonial system, a system that refuses to dislodge completely and repent for the sins, that they have done. Instead of repenting, we experience and witness just more arrogance, as if people are victims. You can never be a colonizer in people's land when they demand what belongs to them. Then you cry foul. So that is the history, not only in South Africa, all over the world, but the African continent in particular. All Black people are indigenous, on the continent. So nobody else can claim. All these silly stories where they talk about the Twa people, Abatwa, were here first. Who gave birth to us? Because the Twa people are our parents. How can you disunite me and dislodge me from my family. I'm here because of the Twa people. All over the continent, it was known, even in the ancient world, that all of us, we bowed down to the Twa people. They gave birth to all of us, and they gave us the knowledge and the civilization, or the foundation of, African civilization. So therefore, we are witnessing. We said it, a long time ago, that things are going to change. Why? Because there are people who are longing for that total liberation of black people. So black people, need to be liberated in terms of the land that belongs to them. There should never be an issue. Whoever is white or, any other color who is not indigenous, here, they came here from somewhere else. We are indigenous people here on the continent. There's no doubt about it. So people who come with aggression, they do all the negative things instead of them repenting and be remorseful, as you would expect, like any other human that has Ma'at in their DNA will behave. But, their actions are just telling us exactly that, they are not going to give up easily. I said it. Nobody gives you power. You take what belongs to you. Do like what the Western Africa countries are doing. You take what belongs to you. There's no negotiation about it. Our problem is these liberal leaders that seem to be hybrids who have, a confused loyalty for the continent and black people in general, because their actions are pointing us to that direction. They don't care about us. It's in their hands, it's in their power to liberate us totally, but they refuse because, we're still using the colonizers' system. So therefore, which is why we need to exit this system, because this system is not to be alive in this day and age. All republics on the continent are a problem. And these are the houses that house all the fruits of theft of the continent, registered under these republics on the continent. So as long as the continent is ruled by these republics and their, puppet presidents, Africa is going nowhere. We have to revert back to our tried and tested governing system, which is African royalty. In that way, we will know that we will have a long-term, future of security and, progress and development on the continent. So it's like that, and of course, just to give a brief summary, people are abusing our humanness. You come and steal my car, then you expect me to just bow down every time I see you pass my house. That is not what Ma'at says. Ma'at says go and take what belongs to you. Never allow injustice, to continue in your life generally. Not only national or, political, individually, never allow injustice, to continue. Challenge the individual. Then we are going to balance the scales of Ma'at within you. Because if you continue being scared, you cower. Every time you need to to take serious decisions, you will live forever with that imbalance within you. Something is chowing you inside, but we are not able to vocalize it because we are scared. We are going to annoy some people who are controlling you. This is our experience, a lived experience on the continent. These are the fruits of the leaders that we have on the continent. Leaders that we can never be proud of. Who feel no pain to witness the system abusing and violating black people's rights when they're in charge of the system.
That's the thing.
Hey,
So
how can I complain about the system whilst the system is run by my own black person? That's absurd. It's something that should never happen on the continent, and we should never allow such people to even continue to think that they will rule over us. They've proven to us that they are as dead as the colonizer, with no feelings. My art is killed there. My art doesn't live there. How do you sleep at night knowing very well I have the key to unlock for that total liberation of black people, but I choose not to? Because if I were to do that, I'm going to upset my master.
Just to add to what you're saying, Mkhulu, we spoke about, for example, we're talking about the colonizer. Specifically, let's look at South Africa. And one thing that, is becoming very clear is who actually runs that country. The country is really not run by these puppets, as you call them, because that's literally what they are. There's a puppet master who is their handler and who moves them and who manipulates them. And it also becomes very clear in how partial the law is. The law is not impartial. Right now, with what, for example, that fringe group AfriForum has done, and maybe you can explain to people who and what AfriForum actually is, because a lot of us don't really know. We just know that they're a group of colonial people who are calling for the assistance of the US for what I would personally call the treasonous act of regime change. They are trying to influence how South Africa is run by bringing in a foreign power. And last I checked the definition of treason, that is what that is. And yet and still, there has been no charge of treason. There has been absolutely nothing really done about this act that they are still continuing with. And yet you'll find that young people who are talking on blogs, on podcasts about this very issue, about the travesty, are being brought to book because they are somehow violating human rights. Whose rights are we now talking about if young Black people are being villainized for telling the truth, and yet you have this fringe group that is acting in a manner that essentially is treason? So Mkhulu, maybe you can tell us who this AfriForum is and really what is their story?
Oh, Thokoza Kehle. AfriForum, it's a group of racist, Afrikaners who haven't gotten over what happened in 1994. They still long, for that white man system to return.
So they long for apartheid, basically.
Huh?
They long for apartheid, basically.
Yes. Which is why when they go to demonstrate in front of the U.S. Embassy, they are now writing a slogan that says, "Make South Africa great again." So meaning, Gucci, they want to go back to those moments. And they must forget those moments are gone. And you see, the problem of leadership, this is what makes these people even more racist towards black people. Because we are represented by weak leaders who allow things that are not supposed to be allowed. In the first place, why are they still outside? They should be in jail, these people. Hey, they go and commit treason. Why? Because they are white people. Our leaders are scared to attack them. If it were black people doing this,
exactly,
soldiers will be all over looking for them to arrest them. That is self-hate that is ruling our leaders. How can a group of racists of Afrikaners insult us as a black nation to go and invite a foreign power to come and kill us? And you let them walk amongst other people here. You are a weak leader if you allow such thing to happen. And it's not the first group. There are many groups, from white people that will see, oh no, it's very easy here. We are controlling whoever is in the presidency. That's why such things are allowed. We're not supposed to be, allowing all this nonsense. But because remember that even the justice system, the constitution itself, right? It's rotten. Even the system itself is rotten because it was created by killing, stealing, raping, all these negative things. So what good moral values can come out of such a system? And for us to uphold such a system as black people on the continent, it's a shame on our leaders. This system should have died right when Ghana got its independence. But Ghana embraced it. Then it followed everybody on the continent. Not even one of these leaders questioned this system. This system was declared crime against humanity in 1974 by the UN. Don't they know that?
Of course they do.
They do, but because...
Of course they know that, but then there's nobody enforcing anything. It's one thing to have a declaration, but then the question becomes, what after that declaration has been put in place to dismantle said system? Nothing. So it's a declaration, and of course, because of the leadership that we have, who's going to be the one who implements the dismantling? It has to be the people themselves and their leaders. And it's not in white people's interest to come in and assist us dismantle that because they're gaining from the status quo. So it goes back to what you say, Mkhulu, which is that we are led by weak leaders who have no love for the Black nation, because this thing would have been dismantled, like you say, in 94. There should have been things set in place to start dismantling a system that was created ultimately to oppress Black people. It was never created for us. That is why we can never benefit or be advantaged within that system. We will always be trying to pull ourselves out of poverty, out of struggle, because the system itself was never created for us. That's why, like I was referencing the justice system, to show you that these white Afrikaners who did a treasonous act, even singing the old apartheid anthem, national anthem of theirs, outside this embassy. Nothing's happened to them. But you get young Black people who are villainized and who are silenced for speaking the truth, just speaking the truth. They weren't insulting anyone. They spoke the truth as it is. They get told to be quiet by said justice system, but these Afrikaners don't get charged for anything for their act of treason.
Oh no, they own. The reality is that they own our country,
Of course.
and they are allowed by these leaders to make us weak. When our leaders are weak, we all appear weak as black people. So they think that is very easy. It has been easy for a while. White people had to live, just have to leave Europe with a suitcase full of money. They get everything from here
Of
because
course.
we are ruled by unprincipled people
Of course.
who are just, after material, things. It has nothing to do because, of course, the system, right? Right from when Ghana was, liberated, it was supposed to be scratched then,
Of course.
right? And it was a conscious decision of African leaders again to continue with the system. So therefore, it looks like they aspired to be like the colonizer.
Which they
Because
did.
the first moment they got, they then behaved exactly like the colonizer. And they knowing very well that the land was taken from kings and queens. They have no business to be dealing with the issue of land. They have no authority to even discuss land or have any negotiation with regard to land without African royals. They know that. So these are the people who sold us out from then because it continued. So we have to change the system for Africa to be normal again. We have to change the system. It's not our system. It is rotten. It is evil. It's chowing us, like a cancer. It's finishing us off. Look at the, black people. Look at black families. We are finished because of this system. And our ancestors experienced abundance here before these evil ones arrived here. So therefore, we need to correct this, especially now, during this Maate, age. There's got to be change. Black people seem to resist, a movement towards their liberation. They still have feelings for white people that put them in this condition. That's why I say we need to decolonize the mind. We are as guilty as charged because white people and colonizers wouldn't be in the situation that we are in if none of us, assist them. It has been like that for ages. That's how we lost power in Kemet. These, self-preserving leaders, greedy people who only think for themselves. The rest of us must bow down because they are in control of our resources. They don't own these resources, but they are using these resources to keep us in a condition. Imagine, the amount of people that are suffering from the black community. When you look at the SA stats, black people are at the bottom. The owners of the land, resources, and everything, they are right at the bottom of the rung. Is that normal? When people, we have everything. We should be living, in abundance so that Ma'at is restored again. White people and these politicians are forcing us into scarcity. Therefore, we vibrate with that scarcity vibration. That's why we will never achieve anything as a collective. We need to decolonize the mind first so that we think normal like normal people. How can you hear Israeli from Israel, Jerusalem, defending a Mosotho? That a Mosotho has a right to be in Israel. That's how sick we are as black people. It
Yeah.
happens, a black person can kill me. Why? Because I'm demanding justice from white people.
Togoza, it's happened. It's happened. We see it on the social medias, Mkhulu. Anytime some of us speak the truth about whiteness, there will be any number of black people who will come and attack. And who will come and you know the nerve to call us racist as if we have any kind of power to be racist. They will call us all sorts of names on behalf of white people, and you'll see white people coming to say thank you, my brother. Thank you, thank you. And it's like, your brother? That's your brother?
That's it.
So I
Those guys.
understand, you know, we are not okay. And so I understand what you mean when you say, you know, a black person will kill another black person in defense of a white person. I don't know.
Certainly.
There's something in us and whiteness that it's actually kind of like a sick relationship where we hate ourselves and we love white people more than we will ever love ourselves. That's
No,
weird.
you guys, remember that it was forced upon us. It was instilled upon us so that it became, you know, second nature. When we're not born, you know, like this, Africa was, hey, all these European philosophers and whatever, scholars, they came to Africa and declared that Africans are the most happiest people in the world. That was before the colonizers. A colonizer was allowed on the continent. We had Ma'at. That is why even our title that we called ourselves, that unitary point, we said Abangoni, those that never violate the laws of Ma'at, which are the laws of nature.
Abangoni.
So, hey, we experience this, you know, harmony with nature, harmony with the creator, harmony with everything. We're never destructive. We're part of nature. But now we're twisted. We are twisted. Yingako, that's why in isiZulu they say, uyesontweni.
We're so
Uyesontwa. Hey, they are
to
going
be
to
nicely
twist your
twisted.
consciousness.
And that's fact. And it's so funny how we can talk about Uguya esontweni, and that term itself is telling you what is going to happen to you when you
Yes,
go to this place. But we still go.
it happens, and of course, you see
90% of
people
us,
coming from there.
90% of us go. Ukuyosontwa.
Ukuyosontwa.
Where are you
And they
coming
say,
from?
we
Ngiphume
take
esontweni.
ourselves there today voluntarily. Then I ask myself a lot of things. How can you say the man of God has got power and access to the Creator, but they can't feed themselves? We have to contribute every Sunday. What nonsense is that? The man of God must feed, not ask.
Exactly.
Exactly. So it's a very colonial relationship, a colonial master and a slave.
Togoza. It is precisely that.
Yes, a lot of people haven't cleaned that negative vibrational frequency in them. It happens automatically. That's when you see when a white person enters a room and they are sitting there as black people. Everybody wants to go and help. It's like something special has just entered the room. We are not okay, of guys. And people don't realize that they need to decolonize.
Yeah.
We are Africans. Our vibrational frequency, it's African. So therefore you can't then misalign yourself by aligning, with something that you are not.
Oh,
I
wow.
can never be a European or a Jew or a Chinese. I can never be that.
Yeah.
Ngudaki nje, full force. And the sooner we accept that, and the sooner we accept another fact that all these other people will never love us.
That's the
Because
fact.
they've demonstrated that they all hate us.
Oh, God.
So don't beg to be loved by them. Hmm?
But I
Beg to
think,
be loved by your brother.
but I think also more importantly, Kesha, is that if our people were to ask the basic question, why they don't love us, what is it about us they don't love, that will lead them to understanding who we truly are. Their lack of love for us has nothing to do with what they have said about us, which is to say we are inferior, we are savages, we are uncivilized, we are unintelligent, we have low IQ. Their hatred for us has absolutely nothing to do with us. Their hatred for us has to everything to do with the fact that they cannot be us. They've been trying for centuries to be us. They know our divinity, they know our nature. They were very skilled at hiding that from us and feeding us the lie, which says we're inferior, we're barbaric, we are backward, we're uncivilized, we're uncreative, we are murderous, we are thieves. They gave us their persona. That is who they are, not who we are. And so their hatred for us, if we sat with that, because you ask yourself, how does every single group in the entire world not like us? Because every single group is racist to us. They don't like us. That is where you would find that no, it's because deep within their very fabric, they all know who we are. And I think there's a certain jealousy and an envy about that, because I always tell people that, do you know that they desecrated the tombs of our ancestors in Kemet so that they could eat the skin of the mummies because they wanted this divinity and they thought they could get it by eating the skin. People are always shocked when I say things like that, but I use those examples to demonstrate how desperate they are to be like us. They trade with melanin. They have a melanin conference. I think it's once every 4 years
No,
where they
sure.
come together to discuss melanin. What and who is melanin? It's us. Outside of us, the melanin molecule doesn't really function for anything. So it is a study about us and our blackness. And if people understood that that is why they hate us, you wouldn't fight so hard to be loved by creatures that are inferior to you, just to put it, put it bluntly, you know?
It's mostly, and of course, you hate what you don't have sometimes.
It's,
Um, it's what nature gave us.
right.
And remember, even this historical fact. Last day before yesterday, I was watching some video created by this white scientist, right? Who works with these, genomes and all those things. He was presenting a paper to say that the only people in the world that don't have a Neanderthal gene,
It's us.
it's black people. This is a white man saying, a professor who was presenting a paper. This is what he says. He says, the only people that are really, really human are black people.
Of course.
So when black people left Africa and they met with these people with Neanderthal, genes, because they were there, all over, Europe. He says then African people came and, intermingled with them, which is why when they test today, they find the presence of melanin.
Togoza. And they found the presence of the Eve gene, which is
Yes,
that gene that comes, all the way back from the first female. So,
yes.
yes. And so I think this is
So
why.
you understand, of guys, that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
It's like a child refusing their parents in a way, because the first people in the world are black people. That's a research scientific fact.
Yeah.
They say that all other races wouldn't be without black people.
Yeah.
And remember that who's the professor who Van Sertima.
Yeah.
Van Sertima did a scientific study to prove that for a long time black people were alone.
Yeah.
In Japan,
We
there
existed
were
by
black
ourselves.
people.
Yeah.
Hey, in
The whole.
Australia,
Yep.
in China,
Yep.
in India, everywhere, in the Americas, everywhere were there first for a very long time, which is why this spiritual, a canon of the continent, it was universal.
Togoza.
Everywhere they bow down to Atumra
Togoza.
because they knew the scientific fact. Then all these social control religions that came after, they were established for that reason. Social control. Teach me everything about the sun. Teach me how I connect to the sun. Teach me how I eat to maximize my energy. Huh? So that I'm independent, whether we are there or not there, I'm able to live. Now they create a dependency syndrome.
They
Come
had to.
through me.
Yeah, they
Huh?
had to. They had to create the dependency syndrome because when they came on the continent, I mean, we had functional societies. We didn't really need anything from them.
No.
But because of the nature of our ancestors, which was, remember, Ketla, you are always the one who's telling us that part of what our ancestors did, the great kings and queens, was to go all over the world spreading knowledge and enlightenment and educating. And so that is the basis of Ubuntu Betu. We understood our role as the first people, and we understood our role as the custodians of divine wisdom. We knew that of every other two-legged species that was on the planet, we were given that divine role of channeling divine wisdom. And so with that came also the understanding of our responsibility to spread civilization, to spread ma'at. Because remember, these creatures coming out of the caves were warring factions. They were cannibalists, they were eating each other. They were always fighting. And we see that imprinted today. Tell me a year since you can remember, Ketla, where there hasn't been some war that has been peddled by white people, whether it be the British, whether it be the Americans. Look, that year when Margaret Thatcher was busy bombing the Falkland Islands, there's nothing on the Falkland Islands, but that urge to bomb something, that urge to destroy has always been there. And I think as Black people, we need to come to the acceptance that we are not the same, and therefore we cannot treat or relate with white people in the manner that we would relate with one another. We cannot expect Ubuntu from people who are not Abantu.
That's true. That's true.
We can't.
It's in their DNA to be, what they are.
What they are, exactly.
We are not going to do anything about it, right? Let us accept that fact. We are not going to change people. All of a sudden, they have Ubuntu Ma'at. It won't happen. They don't have Ma'at. They don't have. We should have a strategy on how we deal with them.
That's it.
And stop focusing on them And there's so much that we need to do as a collective, as a black people. There's so much. The energy and the spirit of the continent is supporting us because it's like, it's weaving this cloth of black unity in a genuine way, not uniting through politics or religion. No, we need to resort back to our old system that kept harmony and order together.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is what we always talking about when in my community, Kesha, when we talk about these things, is the fact that, like, right now, black people have pulled back their energy from all systems that have to do. We always say that we are in this system, but we're not of it, meaning that we are currently having to function within it, but we are not of it, meaning we are not invested in it, and we are not going to allow it to control us here. Fine, they control our money because we have to go to work, we have to pay bills, we have to do all those things that we're doing in this 3D, in the physical. But many of us are already outside this system, spiritually and mentally. We are in I would even say we are in another dimension that way. And so part of what we do when we talk about them is to use it as a especially for people who are new to the knowledge, is to show them that this is not where, as the black nation, we belong. We belong elsewhere. And while we are of the system, we are in the system, we're not of it. So we need to focus our mind, focus our intentions, focus our manifestations, our desires on what it is we long for to see here. And that's where the spiritual aspect of this conversation comes in, Ketla. We talk a lot about manifesting. We talk a lot about, manifesting for the things that you might desire as an individual. But I think maybe we can even link this to the cardinal points and why we come together in community, which is really about that collective umpasho and the collective manifestation as the black nation, and how we can all plug in wherever you are in the world. There is this small group called the Great Empire of Kemet that is in the south that has these ceremonies, sacred ceremonies, where we come together. And you, no matter where you are in the world, as long as you're a melanated being, you can be part of that collective in terms of the manifestations that we're having. Maybe you can speak a little bit to that, Kate.
Oh, no, certainly. We need to now be in that vibrational frequency of reconstructing. And for us to be able to reconstruct perfectly, we need to destroy. Part of destroying the system, it starts here. Firstly, self-knowledge. You cannot destroy the system without first knowing who you are, right? And how do you connect, with everything? So, black people, the energy of the universe is giving us a direction as to where the energy is moving towards. And we can deny it sometimes or are not aware, but we know what time it is as black people, but we lack the will to act. If all of us as black people were to be focus our efforts and educating ourselves as to why we need to get out of this system. And how do we get out of this system? We rely on systems that are currently employed by Great Empire of Kemet. Because this is the system, that we should all be reverting, back to, in preparation for the ultimate African Royal Union. Because our final destiny, that's who we are. We have royalty. It's something that we cannot reject and run away from. It's in our blood. Huh? So therefore, we've got to accept that. Other nations have accepted their royalty, even though all other royalties are fake when it compared to the African royalty. But we see them, look at the Arabs. They've got it together. They're using their own system, to go to their global stage with their own system. And the world is accepting.
So was.
It's only Africa that wants to go with a confused identity. Who are you?
So was.
You claim you're from Congo, but you are wearing a tie and a suit. What Africa are you representing with the Western regalia?
So was.
It starts in the mind. You need to decolonize all this system. I stopped wearing ties and suit a long time ago. Why? Because I'm living. The system employed by GK, it's a parallel system that is alive currently.
Of course.
Everything, that we requested and commanded, it's happening. Everything that we foresaw, that the republics on the continent are going to fall. There's still a little bit of resistance there because of ignorance and greed. But ultimately, all republics on the continent, they've got to fall.
Which is why within the space of 2 years, Ketla. Do you notice?
What?
It happened within the space of 2 years. We started pattering about this about 2 years ago. And everything.
About 2 years ago. It's unfolding now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's unfolding, and which is why, especially we give thanks to Heru. The Heru spirit carried us through this season. And we have achieved so much milestones for African royalty. Because whatever we work for is for empowering our royals. We must be led by kings and queens that are conscious, of who Ma'at is. Not people who are going to be taking positions for their own benefit, for them to be praised. But they serve no purpose for the people. Why? Because they've forgotten their mandate. Who are you as a king? Why are you on the throne? You've forgotten that you're supposed to harmonize between what is above and what is below. So that is harmony.
Yeah, and that many of them, Ketla, this is, there's going to just need to be a whole program of educating those royals too, and they're probably going to need to twasa to be initiated somehow, because a lot of them, I think, don't even have access to this divine knowledge. They don't, you see it in their behaviors. You see it in the way they move. They move like politicians, most of them. They don't have this ancient knowledge. And I think that is where the work is also. That's where you are called, Mkhulu.
Guys, the sad thing is that they look at Kemet and all this ancient science as being Illuminati.
I know.
And it's so ironical because these are the people who started.
Exactly.
Not them who are sitting, but they are forefathers.
So goes.
We're walking this, road. Now, 90% of them are Christians. So what do you expect?
Exactly. It's yeah.
It's a king who's telling the subjects, "Hey man, bring back Jesus in your life." How can a king depend on something that didn't even exist?
It's not even funny.
Because of ignorance.
Yeah.
The white person gave a figure and said, this represents the creator. And that figure was white. So there's a problem there, which is why we are trying to get closer to them, but we are experiencing resistance. Our royals don't want to decolonize. That's the truth. They hear us talking every day, but they do nothing about it.
But it's what I've always said, though, Ketla, when we talk about the royals and how, royalty we know was by bloodline. And my sense is that, especially with the current energy, is that there will be new royal houses that are going to emerge from within the spiritual community, because it really is about that alignment. And so I really see that if the so-called bloodline royals are closed to this knowledge and are resistant and are Christian, then from within the spiritual community, say the Great Empire of Kemet Movement House, this is where royals are going to emerge. They are going to emerge. Spirit works the way spirit will. We have already seen that the same way that things are happening and unfolding before us, spirit is moving. This energy, this frequency is moving and doing things we never would have expected, just given our own limited human capacity. So I don't know. I have this sense that there will be royals that are going to be raised who know how to align and who are aligned with the cosmos and who are in Ma'at and who will bring Ma'at to the Black nation.
Oh no, certainly, Ndlovukazi, we will know them by their actions.
So was.
It's going to happen, I agree. The spirit will descend to whomever it wants to descend, on. You can't control. That's one thing you cannot control, which is what I always talk about when you look at the royal houses, right? A king has got 3 or 4 Indlovukazi, right? The queens. But now, where the person who's supposed to replace the king in the event that he passes on, or she passes on, this person, there's no descended spirit there. You tell by their action. But the third one, the one from the, the smaller house, that's where we all see by their action that, the spirit has descended upon this one. But because of the bureaucracy of the royal house, we end up giving somebody who's not supposed to sit on the throne. Then the ancestors of that house will then resist. And then we will know by their action as well. How can you do that as a sitting king? Why are you doing this? Always. We are embarrassed by your
We are already seeing it. We are seeing
That's the result.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's bad. So we need to go back to that old system. For us to know people by their action. And we will know what position they are naturally, because they've got to demonstrate it without a promise of anything.
Yeah.
This person is this thing.
Yeah.
Right? Whether they are on the throne or not, they are.
Yeah.
That's how we know by their actions.
Yeah.
Not go and take somebody because he's from Oxford.
Yeah.
With 12 degrees. But the reasoning, is not there. So what's the point?
They reason in a Western sense. That's why us who are no longer thinking in that mindset, for us, it's not reasoning, because we look and we're like, How? But for them, it makes perfect sense. And it makes perfect sense to the people who are still mentally colonized. They see it as all normal.
No,
As
that's
far
true.
as, and as far as they are concerned, we are all crazy.
No, sure. No, that's sure. And you can tell a tree or know a tree by its fruit.
That's it.
What fruits are they producing?
Right.
How many professors and doctors do we have on the continent? Huh? How many? Some have even left serving as the colonizer outside instead of developing their own continent. They are brilliant in terms of science, medicine, everything. Africans are gifted people.
Yeah.
Instead of working to build their own future that they want according to the vision and divine inspiration that descends from above. Oh no, they decide to take the easy way. Let me go and serve the master, make the master even much stronger.
But you see, they're not thinking that way. They are thinking in terms of their own families, and they are thinking that economic progress, in terms of how much money you can make, in terms of how much physical, if you like, security you can have. You have a home, you have a car, you have your whatever. Those are the things that have bound them. Because again, it's a colonial mindset. We grew up, many of us, believing that to be successful means you became a doctor, you went to university, became a doctor, you then go to greener pastures if you need to. So you go to places where you can make the most money. You go to
Sure.
places where you can have the most opportunities. A very individualistic mindset, but we were put in that mindset by colonizer. Colonization is very capitalistic, is very individualistic. Most people who left home were not thinking about the community. Many people who are now out are now starting to think about, I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s. What is my legacy? What can I do to give back home?
That's it.
It's
That's
only
it,
happened, but when they were younger, literally many of us just grew up being told, you need to go to school, go to university, get a degree, get a good job so you can get a house, get a car, take care of your family. That was it. There was no mandate beyond that. This idea that you think beyond your own family is something that has come to many of us as we have grown older, and the spiritual aspect, a new understanding who you are, basically comes in. That's why I never want to separate when I talk to people about, say, manifestation or the things you want. I never separate it from community, because that is where we go wrong. Because then we perpetuate that individualistic mindset that says, as long as I'm okay, I'm good. Never mind what's happening with everybody else. We need to vomit that toxin out, because your being okay must mean that your community, the Black nation, and everyone else in your sphere of influence is okay. It cannot be that you are okay and other people are suffering. We are not created that way. We've managed to kill our conscience to think that way because we were trying to function in this system.
No,
But as you
sure.
exit this system, you begin to see that it cannot be further from the truth that you can function by yourself outside of your community. We are, of all, again, the peoples, we are the most interconnected that they are.
Yes. That's true, Ndlovukazi. But I think it's going to happen naturally, whether we want it or not. Something is going to force all Black people to unite and have that sense of responsibility of rebuilding ourselves. Right? That time is here now. What seemed to lock our people, it's the packages that come with employment, right? Because the system has locked them in terms of the car payment, the bond,
mortgage,
the family, the kids, whatever, So majority of us are locked there. That's why most of them will do everything, necessary and possible to maintain.
Yeah.
Never to downgrade.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's a choice that could be made by people who are still free from the system, who don't depend on the system. These are the people who are going to be the activists that ignite the fire, right? Because they are not controlled or depend on anybody but themselves,
Of
which
course.
is why we are trying to teach and encourage people to live by their talents. Because when you discover and find yourself, self-knowledge, it comes with that discovery. Oh, this is what makes me tick. This is why I'm so passionate about this, because of this and that. You get all the reason. Kemet, philosophy gives you every reason that you never had answers for,
So goes, and
which
that
is
is
why.
why
eh,
I always say, if you don't have one yet, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what your roadmap for life is, because this is our roadmap. This is where we know and understand the various energies or principles that come with each season, how to align with them, how to work with these energies, and how to align ourselves in terms of our activities during particular seasons. You cannot try to plant seeds when it's time to harvest.
that's
And
it.
that's enough said. So if you guys don't have this, it's available. If you go on the links in my bio, you will be able to get yourself the Royal African Calendar. It is now in English. It also gives you a synopsis of who you are based on the principle in which you were born. So I just needed to put that in there, Mkhulu.
Just to add, Ndlovukazi, this is a practical tool for
Yeah,
Africans
bro. This
to
is,
unite,
yep.
right? When we talk about black unity, it's always elusive. It has been during the times of Kwame Nkrumah, but Julius Nyerere were on the opposite side. This is the only practical system for us to be united by our calendar and celebrating our new year on the same day. It doesn't matter where you are. We do like the Chinese, the Jews, everybody except us. We celebrate with everybody. Now, this
How
this
many
is a
New Year's?
practical tool
Yes,
to foster that unity
I
amongst
just,
black people.
I'm just laughing because I'm thinking, okay, then in a year, how many New Years are Africans celebrating? Because we celebrate with the Jews,
It's
we
crazy.
celebrate with the Chinese, we celebrate with the Muslims, we
It's
celebrate with
crazy.
white people. Like, we're crazy. It's insane. It's,
Part of decolonization is looking at your own calendar, not the calendar that was forced upon you.
so was.
Because you are the creator of the calendar, there wouldn't be any world calendar without your calendar. So black people should know that.
Exactly. And Tiffany Walker just wrote something. Tiffany says, "Yeah, I read it every day." I'm like, "Yay, Tiffany!" Guys, it's called the Kemet Royal African Calendar. I see a lot of people asking what it's called. If you go to the links in my bio, you'll definitely see it. You can get yourself an ebook, which is downloadable. Please make sure that your device is able to download the version that we have online, right? The version that we have online, so that we don't have people coming back and saying, I tried to download and it's giving me gibberish. Check to make sure that it can download to your device. Then, of course, we have the paperback issue. And this book was put together and written by none other than Mkhulu himself. Mkhulu took many, many years of his life, a lot of commitment, time commitment, resource commitment to put this together with the understanding that unless Black people realigned themselves with their ancient knowledge and their ancient ways of living according to nature, we will continue to be lost. So I'm always grateful when Mkhulu comes on to share wisdom with us. that I will always put this book up because I know what it has done for me personally. I know what it has done to spiritual kids that I mentor. I know what it has done for the Black people or the African people or the melanated beings who are living according to this. Uh, as I even have the audacity to say, replace your Bible with this, and you then
Yes.
and you'll truly be saved.
Confidently.
You will truly be
That's it.
saved because
It's a
this
way
is
of life.
yeah, this is where it is. This is a way of life. It's very practical, and it, like I said, it gives you an understanding of who you are based on the energy or principle in which you were born, and that is the first step to knowledge of self, is getting familiar with who you are. And that will open up the path to understanding what your gifts, your talents are, and therefore, what is your purpose within the collective.
That's it.
This is very important.
That's it.
So, Mkhulu, we have gone over time, as usual. But I'd like to say thank you, Mkhulu, Siyathokoza, Magwande. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. We have missed you. There are about 108 people on here right now. It has fluctuated from about 290, now it's at 115. Thank you, Mkhulu, for coming. And Mkhulu, don't be a stranger, okay? These people miss you when you don't come here.
No, Thokoza, siyabonga kakhulu Ndlovukazi. I truly appreciate the platform you provide so that we are able to communicate to the broader community of Black people, because we don't do things for only Africans, on the continent, but Africans in general, wherever they are. We ought to be one. Find that unitary point. Starting point is the calendar. Thokoza.
Thokoza, Ketla. Thank you. Enjoy your evening. Bye. Thank you, Royals. Thank you for joining us. And see you on the next one. Thokoza.